The Maharashtra Housing Regulation and Development Act 2011 is a new name for MOFA. So we will have to now master this name in the place of MOFA or Maharashtra Ownership Flat Act. So it's known as Maharashtra Housing Regulation and Development Act 2011. And this law, Cabinet has cleared and it will now come before the legislative body, as I said earlier. Now, what it intends to do, before we start looking at the slide, it is very important. There is an evolution through process by which that this law has developed. It has now gone beyond the original scope of MOFA. What was the original scope of MOFA? The original scope of MOFA was between the promoter and a purchaser till building is completed, and when societies are formed, till that period it will apply. Now this law goes beyond. This is considering a complete regulation of the development, and it considers about dispute resolution is also now included within this particular law. So it has got now a judicial authority created, before which authority, which is again inspired by the central law which we saw a few minutes ago, that now all the disputes between the proponents under this law, promoters and the allotee and the purchaser and the other people, they all will be governed. Any dispute between them will be before this authority. It further says that when that authority decides, thereafter there will be, that appeal will lie to the High Court. And then it says from there, of course, under 136, it will go to the Supreme Court. So this is a one step forward, which is a very big leap. And it now, so to say, codifies this particular real estate law into all provisions into one place. To that extent, I believe it's progressive, and I would say that it was necessary, and time will tell whether gradually there will be only one area in which all grievances will be taken up. Let me elaborate it. Does it mean that this law, if it becomes a reality, then you can't file a consumer protection action? No, that still survives, because that's another law. It's a central law which gives you power. Tortious action, yes, you can if there is some sort of a tortious act done with you. By this expression means under the law of torts, which is uncodified law, but there is the Anglo-Saxon branch of law in which these kind of civil wrongs caused to you, for which there is no provision specifically, but if it affects you, then you have got a, where there is you are aggrieved, you have got a right to go and pursue a remedy, and therefore the tort law gives you that power that you can, for example, that in Bombay there is a lot of khaddas on the road and your car is damaged, and what do? So you say tortious action. So I will file action, which is, there is a historical case in Bombay. The gentleman started and he said that I care two hoots, I don't want to find which law, I'm going to go under law of torts and take the authority to task. So all this will be still open. But the question is that you don't really go by the contract and go separately, and you have an authority, you have got a court established under this law where you will really rest and go. There is one another interesting development under Ownership Flat Act, and which I must share with you this evening, which some of you may be surely aware. Our courts have held, our Bombay High Court has held, that if you want to enforce statutory provisions of Ownership Flat Act, that means that you want to compel a builder to give you a conveyance, and you want to file a suit in the Bombay High Court or in a court, then in that event you don't have to pay the 3 lakh rupee maximum court fees, because this is supposed to be for enforcement of statutory right under a statute. Now this law, when it has got a special court created and all these rights are now classified, then in that event, even those enforcements will not really attract the provisions of the payment of high court fees, and you can still seek your remedy before the new tribunal which has been sought to be enacted by the government of Maharashtra. So this is one aspect which I wanted to share with you, which is an undercurrent of the law, which will persist and which will also follow. So now this Maharashtra, this law, while preparing these slides, my associate has done a lot of labor, but we don't have a time to really read, because I asked Suchita a question, how large is the screen? So she said, what do you mean? I said that, is it more than 20 feet by 20 feet, then my slide could be read and people could, you know, very, very comfortably recline and read. She said, such thing is not possible, sir. You better understand this is a small slide on screen on which you can, whatever you can fit in, you fit in. But the I would say, very honest attempt has been made to tell you as to what is from the old law, what is inspired by the central law, and what is a new law into this. And what I'm trying to tell you orally is being probably written down here once again. So this particular provision, as we saw, it's a, I would say, another version of MOFA. Therefore, there is nothing new, but when it comes to new provision, we will deal with it one by one. It talks about now a housing regulatory authority. Now, housing regulatory authority is much harmless authority which is created, which though called by regulatory authority, it doesn't have much teeth in that sense of the word, but it is enacted for the purpose of carrying out certain, I would say, salutary features of this law. The new act also provides for, it is intended to provide transparency and discipline in the transactions of flat and putted. Now I think with the changing times we run new expressions. So instead of saying that honesty and such words have gone out of fashion, so they talk about transparency and discipline in the transactions of flat, put a check on the abuses and malpractices, and it talks about providing conduct of integrity of promoters and smooth and speedy construction and maintenance of flats and prospectus. Now this part is okay, there is no other, there is great thing about it. The new version of MOFA which is coming is an amalgam of the Real Estate Regulation and Development Bill and the old MOFA. The new act provides for registering. Now this also has taken this is bodily lifted from the central proposed bill, that now those who are going to develop more than 250 square meter ground area, it's ridiculous, nobody develops 250. All projects are beyond 250 only. Or those who are not constructing a repair and reconstruction and provide that old building back to the people who were originally there before the repair started, those projects are exempted. Otherwise, all other projects are going to be governed by this. This also requires the new law, which I believe is a welcome change. It is less stringent, it is more open, it is broad, it's a great beginning, it gives you access, it is going to inform the consumer as to what project is. You can't have the mushrooming fly-by-night builders who will take people for a ride. It intends that in this new regime, when this new law comes in, a promoter cannot start a project, book a flat, enter into agreement unless his project is registered on a website, which authority will give him an access to put it up only when he has got certain sanctions and he complies with the statutory requirement. It's much diluted version of the central law, but this was badly needed. For example, in Karnataka and other places, all these sanctions are put up on a website. Not that it is the Ram Rajya has come to Karnataka, some other Rajya is there in Karnataka which all of us are aware about. But still there is some awareness created, and I believe there is some transparency brought about, and you can surely have an access to that information, which is going to and likely to happen if these new provisions will come in, where also this particular website business is being introduced by the government of Maharashtra. Then we come to the further provision, the new act for the, very interestingly, that controversy which I referred about section 7 and 7A. The two judgments have come. One is the Nahalchand Lalluchand, which you have heard adequately and enough this evening. The second judgment was of Jayantilal investment judgment, which came in 2007 in the Supreme Court of India. In this controversy reached doors of the Supreme Court that if there is a large property, in that 2 buildings or 3 buildings are constructed, and then there is supposed to be 5,000 or 10,000 square meter balance open plot. Can a builder thereafter say that section 7A permits me to do anything in the open plot and I don't require your consent? Can he shift coyly the recreation ground area? Can he bifurcate recreation and fragment them and make it into... So we have come across some funny incidents and the results will probably stun you more. Amongst the group or cluster of buildings, if there are 2 10,000 square meter RG areas, like Oval Maidan. The builder gets, after 10 years of development, a thought. So he says, let's in the middle of these two grounds construct another 5 towers. And then let's divide 1,000 meter. I'll give you the total RG which you had originally. But now it is going to be in pockets everywhere, behind your building, in front of your building, somewhere in the beginning where you never go or you have never gone throughout your life. But that is where your RG is. Matters went to the court. And our courts have held that till the RGs remain total area same, he can do it. Now, this kind of situation, the consumer for whom this foundation and the trust stands, they are not going to really take it. And it should not be taken. It is one thing to have an Oval Maidan in front of me. And it is another thing that I have got 500-meter Oval Maidan fragments lying everywhere like a bomb blast, which I have to look for where my RG is. This doesn't stand to reason. You require to, what you have represented, you must provide. But at the same point of time, how will the township development take place? Like the environmentalist and the conservationist always have a debate, which I don't think it has ended to my knowledge, that whether you should have urbanization or whether it should be green, what should succeed, and there should be a mutual coexistence. Who will decide what balance it should have, what priorities we should look for? Of course, the time tells, the demand requires, and I believe that the wise people decide ultimately as to what should proceed. But at the same principle will apply for the purpose of real estate development. Large developments and townships are deeply affected by this everyday controversy and people dragging them to the court. Because if you have a phase 1 and you have developed building, then given possession to people, they say don't construct the second phase at all. Third phase you can never construct because there are good trees and so many birds, and I go for a walk there and my children's future and this kind of argument. If you do like that, then how the new housing stock will come in? Now price is worked out on the footing that first phase will be over, then in second it is spreaded, the cost is taken care of, services are laid accordingly. So builder has also got a business plan, and therefore we need to really look at that. Now this new law is trying to infuse some sort of a clarity and bringing some sort of, I would say, a systematic provision about the layout development, and that is going to be a welcome change which we are looking at this point of time. Then it talks about the new act imposes establishment of a competent authority. The new act also proposes housing regulatory authority, as I told you. Then there is a housing appellate tribunal. Now this is the tribunal which I was talking about. That is where if you are dissatisfied with the regulatory authority, and if you go to this appellate authority, those decisions go there. So to say, the disputes between promoter and allottee will also go there. And to that extent, it is a first court of original jurisdiction. From there, the appeals will lie to High Court, and from High Court, it will go to the Supreme Court. So you have at least a sanity which tells you as to what exactly is going to be course of action and how this particular journey of your dispute resolution is going to really take place. So this is a new provision which we are talking about. Then we are talking about the new act proposing a code relating to housing law from development to sale and dispute resolution, as I told you, and that's a great journey which you have made since the 1963 law. Then the exemption limits I have already told you, which will not be governed by the development, will not be controlled by this, which is 250 square meter, and the repair and reconstruction proposals for original habitants. Then we come to the new act proposes. Now this is little, I would say, interesting part, because unless there is some pressure, people don't behave. Up to 1 crore of rupee, there is a fine which is proposed for the failure to comply with certain provision. For example, Section 5 provides for obligations before accepting advance. So the law tells you that you can't take 20% without agreement and without your website registration and your project being put up and registered. If you violate, it can go up to 1 crore of rupees. Section 7, promoter to maintain separate account of sums taken. Now this is something, I would say, a country cousin of the provision of the central law, which wanted en bloc 70% to go into a bank account. This is now making it, this provision exists since 1963, that you must have a separate account for the maintenance amounts that you have taken. A lot of high, I would say, definition has been provided for, but at the end of the day, The new law wants to say that deposits, a maintenance deposit you take, legal fees you take, society registration charges you take, security deposits you take, CAM charges you come and collect it at the time of giving possession, all that you must put it into an account. It should be audited, it should be provided, accounts should be provided. More clarity has been brought in by this new law, and that is what is proposed. Section 9 talks about no alteration or addition without the consent after plans are. This is absolutely a mirror image of Section 7. If you commit breach of it, then also up to 1 crore your fine could go. Section 12, promoter to take steps for formation of society. Now, in last 3 years, there has been a change and paradigm change in the Ownership Flat Act. So, builders were not registering society. So, government passed a law after much debate. It said that the society will be registered irrespective of whether the builder cooperates or not, and it will be registered and must be registered, which was a very welcome change. Second thing, that in MOFA there is an amendment engrafted, which is now the law, that if the builder is not cooperating in giving you conveyance, there will be a deemed conveyance and the registrar will register and the property will be transferred to you. To your surprise and dismay, there are not hundreds but thousands of societies, and the number ranges between 30 to 45% of the buildings do not have conveyance, and there is no possibility of conveyance. There is a very sad state of a building which collapsed in a tragic circumstances. They wanted to reconstruct. So they have suddenly realized that there is no conveyance in our favor. So Bombay Municipal Corporation Act, read with DC regulations, requires that only owner can apply for the purpose of redevelopment, and he alone can appoint an architect. And architect appointment form has to mention where his name is as a owner, and he must give a property registered card copy. Now this society says that we have nothing, Baba. We went to High Court. The High Court says nothing doing. In that case, the High Court said, told the corporation by giving a direction that you pass their plans and you don't really wait for the owner to kill you. But that was an extraordinary circumstance. Every society can't come to me, every society can't go to law firm, every society can't have a proactive judge and a right kind of court which says we will depart from the law, but we will try to do justice. Now, this is a great, I would say, expectation, which cannot be as a matter of course you can really have. So this particular provision of compulsory transfer of society is another very welcome change which has come in MOFA, and that has been also considered here, and that has been continued in the new law. Now, if you commit violation of any one of these, then in that event up to 1 crore the fine could go. That is another provision. And for the first time, this provides for something very interesting on which I will like to end my presentation on this new proposed law. This talks about that the High Court and the Supreme Court, when it considers habitual offences under the law, or it is considering violations, it can even increase the penalty further. There is no upper limit. You can go and do it. If they find in a suitable case, they can really enhance the punishment, which I think is giving some sort of a very welcome positive mandate to the courts. And if it wants to do justice and it wants to really instill fear of God in people who are habitual offenders, then this could be possibly done under this law. So this is the long and the short of the new changes which have come by. And I would say that this new law is recognizing the parking space. Just to come back to this great problem which has been started after Naharchan, it recognizes that common amenities will not include parking space. It will exclude that and the open spaces, which could be dealt with and allotted, which can bring some peace of mind to people who buy their flats, and they don't have to really fight for their vehicles, which have become like a second skin to people, and without that you can't survive in a metropolis like Mumbai. This is supposed to be my short presentation, and I'm really convinced that you must be very serious audience to listen to this technically oriented law for over a period of 1 hour. You are now going to grill me with questions which I welcome, and I look forward to any queries that you have on this subject, and feel free to ask me anything that you desire. Thank you very much for a very peaceful.